Hey, Tina.
Hello.
Thank you so much. That was really, really fun.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's fun kind of sharing part of the collection and kind of going
Art.
along and researching where things come from.
Yeah, no, I bet. I was looking at that box, the wooden box with the kanji and then the little boat things. And I'm going, somebody's got to know what those are.
What's been great is, when you post something on Instagram, a lot of times I won't know what it is. For example, the roof tile, this one,
Uh-huh.
I posted it and I said I didn't know what it was, and then I think Oki Shells, Tony, he lives in Okinawa. He immediately was like, "Oh, it's part of the roof
The
tile."
roof. Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, that's so nice when you can ask people and you go, I've been on Google for hours trying to figure this out.
Yeah, the right person
Uh,
sees it like, "Oh, it's that." It's easy.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for that. And thank you everybody for showing up. Paula, I cannot believe you are still up. If she's still up, this is nuts because it's the middle of the night, but that's okay. You guys are on opposite ends of the world here. But welcome back, everybody. I recognize most of your names, so thank you for hanging around for most of today. I'm Kirsty, the publisher of Beachcombing magazine and organizer of this event. There's Paula. Look, she's still there. She's drinking tea or maybe gin. I don't know.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you to everybody, Tina, for all that video. It was, it started out about 30 minutes and we had to try and get it down to 20 minutes. And it was like, oh, I don't want to cut it. Oh, I don't want to cut it. But I hope that you like how it turned out. But we're going to be here for just about 5 minutes more. And then we're going to watch another video that's from Christina. And then at the very end, we have about an hour to chat with both of you. But just wanted to introduce you quickly. Tina is a military pilot and her job takes her from Japan to California and who knows where else. We'll get to ask her about that. But she has a great collection and I really appreciate you sharing all the things. Those little soy sauce things from the bento box are so cute. I would love to post. Really adorable. And then if anybody has any questions, feel free to just ask them anytime or type them in the chat. The chat thing, it's 1 o'clock. There you go, Leslie. Thank you. And just click on the little chat icon and it'll bring up a little sidebar where you can type in your questions. But yeah, please feel free to ask anything. And then in about 5 minutes, we're going to head over for another video. But Tina, I wanted to ask you, so where have you traveled like through your job?
So, I mean, being in the military, I've mostly been in the United States, but I've deployed. So I've been a deployment to Afghanistan. I've now lived, so in Japan, I lived in Okinawa for about, which Okinawa being kind of one of the southern islands of Japan. So I lived there for about 1.5 years and then moved back to California for about 1.5 years and then came just recently over the summer, came back to Japan. I'm now kind of in the Tokyo area. So I've been kind of all over the place. There's been short trips here and there to Europe and to Africa and a few other places. So it's been, I wish, because I didn't really get into beachcombing until I moved to Okinawa. So I wish that for some of those other places I'd traveled before that I had the beachcombing eye to look for some different things. But
I think a lot of people feel that way too.
Yeah.
Why didn't I pick up all the tile in Italy? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you move, do you get to bring your collection with you or do you have to leave it and store it somewhere?
Well, I haven't really had to think about that too much because I started in Okinawa. So I was able to, when I moved from Okinawa back to California, bring my collection, but my collection has continued to grow.
Yeah.
So I brought a lot of the collection back with me. But we do have a limit on what you can take with you, especially overseas. So I may have to find other options for the future.
I got a lot of room in my house, Tina. You can leave it
there.
I'll give it back, guys. Tell me about your Trash to Treasure project, that cute little fish you're making out of bottle caps.
Yeah, so I find that I'll try to go to lots of different beaches, and sometimes, like I kind of show you, find a variety of things, but I was on a beach that just had a lot of trash on it. And unfortunately in Japan, there's some remote beaches that are kind of hard to access. So taking a bunch of trash out is hard to do. But I had like a bag with me and I realized I'm like, I can start picking up these bottle caps and, either just recycle them or throw them away. And then I realized that I was finding bottle caps of every, color and size. And like maybe I can do some kind of project with it. So you kind of saw the half finish. I have to go out and continue to collect more bottle caps.
Yep.
But now every time I'm at the beach, I'm like looking for, the bottle caps. We take a little bit of trash off the beach and, it'll contribute or go towards that project. So
That's great.
I thought
I feel
being
like
Japan,
you should pick up something on every beach. That's your toll you have to pay.
yeah, absolutely. So I would agree.
That's
It's
cool.
a good way to do it.
Leslie asked, do you often find Ohajiki and Mahjong pieces, or is that pretty rare?
I would consider, well, maybe here in Japan, it would be like finding a marble. So there's certain areas that I find more than others, but it's always, it's not like every time I go out, I find one. So when I do, it's kind of the same feeling I get, or we probably all get when we find a marble.
Yeah, very fun. It's just a fun new thing to find. All right, you guys, I'm gonna pause us here for just a little bit. You can stay in the meeting and just mute yourself and get ready to watch, but we're gonna watch Christine's video. And if you don't have the chat open, make sure you open it up and you can see the link to that. And then we'll be right back here when that's done. But watch carefully because there's a float giveaway and this will be on the test. Hey guys, I am back. Are you guys back?
Good
Yay!
morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for getting up early. That was so
Pleasure.
fun. Did you guys like that? I loved the weaving of the net. That is so darn cool. It was like there's
Isn't it
not even
amazing?
any knots in there. It's just crocheted or whatever.
So fast too, so fast. It's amazing.
Well, especially in fast motion.
Oh, well, yeah, that too. That's true. In real life, he was still fast.
Okay, yeah, exactly. I would still be doing it. It'd be weeks later.
Yeah, me too.
So I just wanted to introduce Christina to you. She's up at the crack of dawn, just like Tina. Thank you guys.
Hey, Tina.
Appreciate it. Christina comes from Australia. You were raised in the Philippines. Now you live in Japan. She loves Japanese maritime history and the artifacts and shares wonderful stuff on her Instagram page. If you haven't seen it, please do. She has a company called Reverse.Gem, where she makes very cool beachcombing tools, also art, and sells beautiful sea glass that she finds on the beach. So definitely check her out at Reverse.Gem. And today we have a special thing because there is a quiz. Whatever you just saw, there's something from there that will be on a quiz, and she's going to ask a question at some point, and then the first person to answer with the correct question in the chat will win a float. Do you have your float there?
I do, right here.
Excellent.
I measured it this morning because I thought, I should really find out what size it is. It's 3.5 inches.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
there you go.
So do you guys, do we need a quiz on how to use the chat function? I'll ask a question. So it's going to be, if you can go into the chat and answer that question, that means you will be able to enter to win this float. Get your pens at the ready. Okay, there's no pens. Well, it was very, very fun. So I guess you can't go get my mom that calendar, Christina, but okay, whatever.
I'm gonna have to look at the video again to see what calendar you're talking about.
She was talking about, I want that cat. I want that cat. And I was like, what is she talking about?
Well, I love cats here, so I'm sure I can find something. So I'll keep my eye open.
Yeah, at some
for
point,
you.
there was a calendar on like the front of a desk behind him. So there you can find
Okay,
it there.
I'll watch again and I'll see what I can do.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Well, so tell us a little bit. So that when I asked you, could you just go back and get that for me? You said it's a very long trip for you. So tell us about that.
Okay, so it's at the very top of Japan, Hokkaido, and I live, so like where Tokyo is, I'm kind of in between where Tokyo is and then where Hokkaido, the very top. island is. And so for us, the best way for us, we live right near the major port, and you can catch the overnight ferry. So it's about 18-hour ride. And 18 hours? No, it's not right. Anyway, it's an overnight ferry. And then we get into this other port up north, and then we'll drive across, and that's how you get there. So it's a good, day trip to get there, kind of thing.
You spend the night there and then come back?
Yeah, and I love it up there. I know, Tina, you've been up there too, right? And I mean, so we did, last time we went was in May, and we just did 1 week there. And really, you could stay there for longer. I mean, there's just so much, because it's a huge island, actually. It's actually the biggest part of Japan. And so you could really go all the way around it. So we've only done half so far. Love to do the other half at some time. So yeah, it's
Just
it's
head up
fun.
there
Really
tomorrow.
beautiful up there. And it's very different too.
Oh,
What's
good.
that?
Just drive up there tomorrow. No big deal.
Oh yeah, no big deal. And it's snowing there now too. So they
Oh,
get a
no.
lot of snow up there compared to
No.
what we get hardly anything here. So yeah, their snow has begun. Nothing like, I guess, Canada or.
I saw a
different
news
Ireland.
video. It looked like a couple feet of snow in some areas.
Yeah,
Wow.
they get a lot, especially on the West Coast as well, I think, from the Siberian. Anyway.
Hey, I see we have Rowie joining us from Australia. So good morning.
Hey, Rowie.
It's very
Hi,
early.
I thought I'd join just to say hi. I don't have any questions, but
That's all right. That's all right. We can just say hi. That's why we're all here. We're all here because we can't get together right now. So we're doing this instead. So
Awesome.
great to see you. So how did you first start getting interested in floats, and how did you connect with the people up at the float factory there?
Okay, so the first time that I've always known about these glass floats, like a lot of people around here would have some in their gardens and what have you. But the time where my eyes were really, really open to it was a couple years ago, when there used to be this shack that I would always drive by, and I love the shack. Like, I just thought it looked so awesome for photos outside, right? And then one day, my husband, I had driven by it, and he was picking me up from somewhere. He's like, I think they're tearing it down. I'm like, what? I've always wanted to take photos there. So we went over, and sure enough, they're taking it down. And this 90-year-old lady, she was just like, yeah, it's a danger to the neighbors. It's gonna, the wind's gonna blow it down and stuff, whatever. And we're like, well, can we have a look inside? Is that okay? And they're like, yeah, it's okay. And, sure enough, it's a fisherman's shack. I had no idea it was a fisherman's shack. And there's just like treasure beyond treasure in there. And they're like, you can take anything you want, because they're just going to throw it away. Everything was being thrown away. So this beautiful rope, and then we find the wooden floats, which like I'd never seen before at that stage. And then glass. I'm like, there has to be glass floats in there. And sure enough, there's hundreds of glass floats in there. So the dust was crazy, but we worked in there. And then they kept saying, yeah, you can keep coming back. So for 1 week, we just kept going back like 3 times during their, first thing in the morning, lunch break, and then afterwards, right? So I could get as much as I could salvage. And then, and that's how my eyes started opening up, and just learning about all the different tools and stuff. And that stuff is like, some of it is 100 years old easily. So it's just really fascinating. That's how I really got into it. And then from there, yeah.
So cool. So do you still have all those
it's a lot of
floats, or
fun.
have you sent them off to new homes?
No, I still have a lot. And the reason why there's a green screen in here is because it's a mess here right now. Anyway, so there's stuff scattered all over the place. I've had that opportunity to be able to sell a lot of floats, kind of thing, because I thought, I can't keep all of these. There's no way, right? So been able to share those across the seas. That's been a lot of fun to see people's collections grow. But yeah, I still have a lot around, big and small, and it's fun to keep collecting. I'm an addict. I'm not ashamed
You're
to say
among
I
friends.
am an
Don't
addict.
worry, we all know. We all know.
Yeah, it's a lot
That
of
was
fun.
the theme of the day.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. So yeah,
Well, it was,
that's
that's so interesting. Like this one man's trash is another man's treasure. And it was exactly like that.
totally.
Tina, have you come across
Yeah.
anything like that where you've found somebody who has like an old collection or?
Yeah, so I was just gonna pipe in after. So behind me, these floats.
Love it.
I was up in northern Japan, and I was wanting to. I was going past these little tiny fishing villages, and that sometimes the big floats are just kind of stacked up right off the port. And so my goal was to find somebody, use my very limited Japanese, and ask them if I could just purchase one of the floats. I was looking for like a dark blue float, and so I was walking up and down like this road along the port, and no one was out except for a couple of guys talking. So I finally worked up the courage to use my horrible Japanese and ask if I could buy one. And they're like, "Oh, wait!" And they went and they found this this house, this lady, and she was just like, she looked like she was mid 80s, like 4'5" maybe or less. And they're like, "Oh, bring your car over because she has some floats." And I'm like, "Oh, I was just gonna like one." And they started bringing out float after float.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Oh, let me pay for this. Like, you're being so nice." But like you're saying, like sometimes for people, they kind of just sit on their lawn or in a shed, and they don't really have a use for them anymore since the fishermen really mostly use the plastic floats now. So all these ones behind me for this gift from this very nice older lady who was, I think she was happy to just have more, room in her yard. So,
Yeah, that's so true.
It's so funny.
so now,
Whereas
yeah, I mean, that's the problem you're asking earlier, Kirsty, with getting things home. So I've given some to family members. I'm not like Christina, where I figured out how to, ship them off and sell them or anything like that yet. So maybe I'll figure that out someday. But yeah, it's fun to. It's addicting. You just want to go and look for them, and it's fun to see them just wherever on the beach or in old fishing towns.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, there's actually a story in the next issue of Beachcombing about the Scandinavian floats where they all started, because you mentioned that, Christina,
Yeah.
in your video. So it's very fun to see the other ones, and there's American ones too, which I don't know why, I just always thought they were just in Japan. So anyway, eye-opening. So how did you get connected with the factory?
Oh, so with the factory, so he's pretty well known here because Walt Pitch has done a book on him, and Walt Pitch is like the guru of floats, all the research he's done in Japan over the years. And then my husband was doing a lot of research for the Beachcombing Festival last year, virtual Beachcombing Festival. So we called him up to interview him for a few questions I had when I did that video, and then made an appointment to go see him, because you must make an appointment to go see him. Because I think, Tina, you tried to go see him once, right? Or a couple times?
I went once, it was Sunday, it was closed, and then I didn't have an appointment, but I came during business hours and he was willing to show me a little bit.
Yeah, and then you could like do some, you could blow a float as well, but that I think you gotta make an appointment for as well. I think with Corona, he's made more, I don't know, things
Probably a good plan
to do. Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah, it's great.
I did look at their website, and I think you can buy those little floats like the one he was making that he wrapped.
Yeah.
And that they make them for a snow festival. So it's a good thing it's snowing there, because I guess they put candles in them and float them down the rivers, which sounds like it would be gorgeous.
That would be, yeah, that would be amazing. And I should make it up there sometime for that.
Yeah, but it'd be cold. It'd be a cold boat ride.
It'd be a cold, yeah. Well, especially for you guys in California, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sissies. Maria asked, what's the name of that book? And I think it's the Walter Pitch book. His last name is P-I-C-H, isn't it?
Yeah, let me write. He's got a few books, okay. So I'll write that down. If you just Google that or Amazon that. Yeah, that's one of them. Yep. Nice, Tina.
Yeah, so I was gonna say this one. Oh, this one I referenced also in my video. But yeah, Walt Pitch, and then I was watching your video, Christina, that at the very end, that picture of the door. So that's Mr.
That's so
Asahara.
cool.
as a young man. So I think that was
Yeah.
his father or grandfather, and that was
Yeah,
him. This is
that's
Walt.
it.
So yeah, it's a great little
It's
resource
amazing,
guide
huh?
for
Yeah.
floats.
Very cool. Yeah, and I actually, in Tina's video, in the description, I listed all of the books that she referenced in her video. So the seashell books and the other books, she gave me the list of those. So you can find those there. But yeah, so I was thinking this too. Michelle Klein says, do you know what they put in the mold so that it won't stick? Was he spraying water or was that oil or something?
You know what? I don't actually know, because at first I asked my husband, because when I was watching it, we were putting the video together. I'm like, wait a second, is that water or is that like an alcohol or what is that? I actually don't know, so I will find out so that it doesn't stick. Maybe it's water, because if I don't know. I can't, sorry about that, guys.
What are they mostly doing there at the factory now? Are they making lots of floats or decorative floats, or what are they doing?
It's all decorative floats, and then they sell it in the town or online as well. And different like hotels have, he has contracts with different hotels and stuff. So it's all decorative stuff now, nothing for fishermen at all now.
Oh, that's too bad.
If I could add too, this is also one of my favorite, Otaru, this little town, it's near Sapporo, but it's just a really fun place to visit, and there's a lot of different glass factories there, and so they have lots of different glassware. They're also well known for these chimes, these glass chimes that they'll put up kind of along like their alleyway cups. So actually, this is one of my purchases from the
nice.
company. I loved it so much, but this is like their seal. And it's interesting because, as you mentioned, Christina, when the original floats they were making didn't have any kind of maker's mark, and then I think the newer, because enough people have asked about it, some of the kind of souvenir floats he makes now, he's included the Asahara mark.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is the mark? Is it just is it a character or is it
his name?
Oh, it's his name.
Yeah,
It's the Chinese characters of his name. Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna. It's hard to see in this one, but
Oh, I can read Japanese. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, there you
go. No.
So yeah, that town is really famous for glass in Japan. And then his cousin owns like half of the factories there that sell all the glass. So I think it's in the video, right? Where, is it in the video? Where his father did the fisherman stuff, and then his uncle, the brother, did the glass, like drinking glasses, houseware, that kind of stuff, that side, and did the business side of it, kind of thing. Yeah.
All right, we have a professional response from Sue, who says she did glass blowing in college and they just used water. So we're going with your answer, Sue.
There you go.
Could be wrong.
There you go. Thanks, Sue.
She's just making.
I thought it was water, so I'm going to go with that.
I know. I was like, are they making it not stick, or is it just cooling it down? But anyway, so those were the original molds from 100 years ago when they made them. So
yeah.
cool.
And one clip that didn't make it in the video was that I found it was hidden in the back of the bookcase kind of thing. It was the bottle that, you remember in the video, did he talk about how the great-grandfather first started making bottles? And I found the mold for the bottle. And it's just like, it's got cobwebs all over it. It's a mess. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So yeah.
I don't think it's a museum piece, but you can tell
No,
them.
exactly. I'm like, this should belong in a museum. So yeah, it's fascinating. All sorts of treasures in there.
Yeah, Tina, you mentioned that you don't find the rolling pin shape as much. Do you find, is that what it was?
Yeah, on my last trip up north, because I kind of did, as Christina mentioned, Hokkaido is pretty big, and I had about a week, a little over a week of time off. So I just did basically a road trip around Hokkaido and just went to lots of different beaches. So I was able to find, I think, 3 or 4 of the rolling pins, whereas the smaller round floats are much more common. So I don't know why. I think maybe there's just a certain maybe area or type of fishing operation that used them, so they're just not as from what I've seen, they don't circulate as much.
Yeah. Have you found
Yeah.
the same, Christina?
Yeah, it's getting more and more difficult as well to just come across, like collectors are really holding on to them here because it's becoming more difficult. I did find one on my beach here, which was like a miracle because I don't usually find them down here. But I did find one last year. Was it last year or this year? Earlier this year, which shocked me. But yeah, I think also because they don't use them at all anymore. Whereas the little ones, they can still use for octopus. And then the larger ones, they're not making them anymore, but they're still using them for scallops. So up in one particular town up north kind of thing. So they're just, as they break, then they replace it with plastic, right? But because there's thousands and thousands of them still around. So I think that's why we can still find those being washed up on the beaches and stuff, and little ones as well. But those Hokkaido rollers, they're called Hokkaido rollers for up north. And then for the part of where I live is Tohoku, and there's the Tohoku roller.
Yeah, and I
show
think you
I could
showed
grab-
those.
I
I
could
think
grab
Tina had some
two.
that they were more rounded. They weren't
Oh,
parallel.
Okay, yeah,
sides.
more rounded or
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah,
So
very
those
cool.
they're so fun.
Rowie asked, is there a particular time of year that the floats are there, or is it all year round? Or have you guys not gone up there in the winter because you're sissies? No, she didn't say that. I did.
Well, what time of the year did you go, Tina?
I've been there during the summer. Now I'm considering, because I may have some time off over in December to go, but I also have been watching the news and saw like 2 feet of snow. So I don't know.
Do it.
And
It'll
also-
show up so well.
But also, Tina, the roads get closed down too.
Yeah.
As well.
Okay.
So they're to get across, especially on the west. Apparently, those roads get closed down because of snowfalls and that kind of stuff.
That's good to know. Yeah.
But,
I believe in you, Tina. I'm counting on you.
Oh my
We'll
God,
see if I
do
go.
it.
I'll put some videos out.
Snowmobile ride.
I tell you, Tina is such a risk taker though. She's amazing. The stuff she does, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. She's amazing at her adventures. But I hear there's one guy that's been collecting for years and lives up there. He said springtime is always really good. So, and snow's melted by then. So that's when we went. We went in May and it had snowed in April. And then May was just stunning. The weather was just beautiful. So I don't know. And October, we went October and May, and those were really nice. Yeah.
Cool. Is it the same as anywhere, like after a storm, you find more stuff on your beaches, or is there a particular season? When we come visit you guys, remember, when should we come?
We do the tours.
Yes, yes.
I always say spring is best. I personally, but I know I feel like Tina down south, I just feel like, or there's just certain areas where it's just all year round. I feel like it's no problem. But for me personally,
I would say Okinawa. Okinawa is a smaller island, so I would be going to a lot of different beaches, but they're generally, I think, late summer to late fall is kind of the typhoon season. So after a typhoon would come through, that usually meant there was going to be a lot of stuff churned up. But then up on mainland Japan, there's just certain areas I've found where, it's just kind of every time I go, there's going to be I'm going to usually find something. I've noticed. So back last month or two ago, there was a big earthquake here in Tokyo, and I don't know if it has anything to do with the earthquake or not, but sometimes I go to a beach and there'd be a ton of sand, and then one time no sand at all, and then another point, maybe from the earthquake, things being churned up, but a bunch of squid had washed in. So yeah, sometimes there's events that happen that completely changes the landscape of the beach.
It's just
that's
chaos, and we can't count on anything, just like everywhere. Dang it. Well, somebody told me that if there was a storm and there were high winds, then that would bring floats onto the beach because the wind blows them in since they're floating. But all right, guys.
Now, I wonder if that's the west coast of the United States, because of those floats that go into Washington, Oregon, maybe Northern California. are dependent on kind of that current, that massive current that comes from the north and Japan and makes it over.
Yep.
So I think from the northern Japan, there's a lot more floats, like on probably around the year, certain places you could find at least, a few of them.
Very
So maybe
cool.
less dependent on the current.
I heard Alaska. Alaska.
Oh
has a
yeah,
lot
Alaska as well.
too, right?
Yeah, it's
There's
all
a
on that
video
same
on some video on YouTube where there's a guy with his plane that lands on the beach, and then there's just hundreds of floats. So I want to go to that beach someday.
Yeah, I have a friend who goes to Hawaii, and there's a place where they just pack the floats out. So
Wow.
yeah, lucky.
But I think it's
that
getting
sounds
harder,
nice.
right? Because more and more people are collecting, and
Yeah.
people can.
Well, I mean,
we're not
putting any more out there. As we said,
No,
it's all
that's right.
plastic, and it's in the middle of that gyre. So
Yeah.
our trash is not glass floats anymore, alas. So Tina and Christina, are floats your favorite things to find, or if you could only find
I
one
would say
thing?
yes. For me, it would be just because I don't find them as easily as like sea glass is easy for me to find, kind of thing. But so floats for me is probably hands down. That gets the happy dance
Okay, good.
for me.
Same for
How
you.
about you, Tina?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. But you're right, maybe depending on the area you're at. When I was in Okinawa, because they were a lot harder to find down there. So that was by far my favorite, like, the happy dance for sure. And then maybe up here, like the area I'm in now, finding stoppers has been, that gets me almost as exciting. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Those blue ones are beautiful that you had in your video. Oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah, this one here, that was one of the first few
Beautiful.
things I found when I first got back to mainland Japan. So I don't know what I need to find, like what it specifically came from, but they seem to have more of them.
Hey, Tina, some of them come from the Itobing, the big jars that I have.
Yeah.
Because I found one, I don't know where it is right now, but it had one in it when I got at a recycle shop. I'm like, oh, so that's where I, made the connection. I'm like, oh, that's where some of these could come from as one thing, because they're so big,
It's fun to discover when you see something on the beach in Japan and you don't necessarily know what it's from, but then you're in like an antique store or somewhere else and you're like, there it is.
Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, like that rice cooker lid you found just because you saw it in a restaurant.
Yeah, just this piece of wood. I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool looking, but I'm like, I don't know what it is. And then literally like a couple of weeks later, I'm at a restaurant having some new Japanese dish and they bring out this traditional pot and it's like the same type of lid. And you're like, there it is.
I know it. Hey, Wheezy said in the Virgin Islands that they would find floats after tropical storms and hurricanes that dislodge them from reefs.
From the
So,
reefs. Oh,
very cool.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
were those from like Japan or that's a long way to
no,
travel.
I'm sure they were from
Europe.
You'll read all about the European floats in the next issue of the magazine, but yeah, they use them on their nets in the Atlantic. So it could have, their current is going in that same clockwise direction. So it would come down from Europe and end up in the Caribbean. So, from Portugal. Yep.
Portugal has a lot, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. Well, it is fun if they have that marking on them so you can have some idea of where they came from. But the European floats were more like egg shaped. So they're a different shape from the Japanese round ones. So it'll be fun.
And they have fun netting as well, like different kind of netting for some of them, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them are covered with tar and burlap and, the Tina, like that little plastic thing that you had that showed that protected it. So they would wrap it in tar and burlap and rope and so all kinds of things to keep them from breaking. So
Nice.
Christina, I hear there's a quiz. We will be tested on the material. So, all right, everybody, get ready to type in the chat window. Put your little cursor in there.
Who's first.
What
year? What was the first time that the great grandfather made a float?
Okay, you can see him. Nobody's gotten it yet.
Mm-mm.
Uh,
Wait, why are you all saying 1934?
I don't know, but is it? See, is there one there that's correct?
Not yet. Ooh, we got a close one.
How many times do we get to guess? 1901.
Do you get it right?
1903, 1904.
Tell you what, Anne Marie Johnson was the closest so far. Oh, Anne Marie got it. Well, I mean, I'm assuming
1915.
you're saying 1950.
That's
Anne
where we're-
Marie, you got it.
Good
Sorry.
job, Anne Marie. Show us your face.
Nice.
Yay!
Okay,
Cheer-
Anne Marie,
Thank
you're
you.
gonna have to send me your email
Well, I
address.
guess like 4 times. Does that count?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, you said 1916. I'm like, oh, that was close.
And then I knew it was really close when you said that.
Well
Yeah.
done. All
Oh,
right,
good.
so
Congratulations.
I'll chat to you a bit later, and I'll get your postal address, and I'll get that sent to you on Monday.
Very
There you
fun.
go.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, you can put it out in the snow and take a picture for us, Anne Marie. You got snow there?
Just a little skiff today, not much.
Skiff.
Whereabouts are you?
Wisconsin,
Oh, wow. Okay. I heard it gets super cold there, right?
but my sea glass is from Prince Edward Island, Canada.
Oh, nice.
But there's
That's
no
one of my
floats in
bucket lists.
Wisconsin, so that'll be fun. Very good. Well, you guys,
Awesome.
thank you so much, Tina and Christina. This has been so much fun. Everybody, all the videos that premiered today are up on YouTube forever, so feel free to go watch them again. And I really appreciate everybody, all the effort they put in. All of the people all of the vendors and artists that have their booths on the Beachcombing magazine website will be there through December 31st. So when you're thinking about shopping, please think about our beautiful work done by small businesses, because they're the ones who keep us all afloat here, and they have some really, really beautiful stuff. So I really appreciate it. You're welcome, Leslie. Thank you guys all. This has been very
Thank you.
fun. I hope you guys had a good
Thank
day.
you
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you,
welcome.
so
Susie.
much.
Chris,
Thanks
you
to
did a
everyone.
great
job.
My pleasure, you guys.
guys.
We'll do it again
Great
soon, but not too
presenters, great
soon.
everything. Thank you. Very
Okay,
nice.
good. Yeah, thanks, guys. Good seeing your faces, your smiling faces.
Going to sleep now.
Okay, yeah. Good night. Good night, all you
Michelle.
people. Okay.
It's 1:30 by me. I'm going
Oh
to
my
sleep.
gosh.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to go out and
Okay.
party. No, not really. It's only 3:30.
Thanks
good
again
seeing-
for everything.
Yeah, you're welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for being part of it. It really was fun. Bye, Debbie. There's Wheezy. She's already
Yeah.
passed out. I like it. It's good seeing you, Dottie. And thank you guys. So Christina, thank you for the giveaway. That was really sweet. I love it.
No worries. It's fun. Thank you. Thanks for having
Okay.
me.
Yeah,
All right,
welcome. Anytime, you guys. Anytime.
Awesome. All right.
Alrighty,
See y'all
take
later.
care. Happy holidays, guys.